Hello, San Antonio family. This is Deacon Kevin. In our Gospel of Matthew 5 is part of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. In this part of the sermon, he's talking about oaths. Now, this is just after he talks about murder, adultery, plucking out our eyes, and cutting off our hands if they cause us to sin. So I've got to admit, talking about oaths is a little bit anticlimactic. But in this scripture, Jesus is telling his followers to live with integrity. What he was addressing is a common practice of those days of giving deceptive oaths. The Pharisees and the scribes had devised a way to swear to things other than God so they wouldn't have to keep their oaths. They swore to heaven, they swore to earth, they swore to Jerusalem, but they would not swear to God. So if they didn't keep their promise, it would not be an offense against God. Jesus is warning his followers not to be like these people. He tells them, don't even swear an oath at all. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Anything more is from the evil one. He wants them to live with integrity. Now, I wish I had trouble relating this gospel to the world today, but we have the same issues today. Who are today's Pharisees? Who are the people that twist and bend the truth so they don't have to keep their vows and promises? Our world today seems to be full of people with a broken moral compass. Every day we hear of more and more people that are not keeping their oaths and their vows. The scripture today is challenging us to live our lives with integrity. How is our moral compass? Let us look at our lives. Are we living with honesty and integrity in our families? Are we keeping our vows and our promises? Or are we keeping things from others? Are we living with honesty and integrity in our workplaces? Are we standing up for morals and ethics and justice in those workplaces? And are we living with honesty and integrity in our social circles? Do we act the same in our homes as we do out in society? Do we have any behaviors or relationships that are in conflict with our vows and our vocations? Sometimes we ourselves can be living with honesty and integrity, but we have others in our family or our workplaces or our society that wants us to go against these principles. I worked for some bosses years ago that wanted me to lie to our clients and our customers. After the third time of refusing to lie, I was fired from my job. I took a demotion and a pay cut. And although I struggled, I never regretted that decision because I maintained my integrity. A few years later, these managers were all gone, and I eventually ended up with a much better job. In today's scripture, Jesus challenges his followers to live with integrity. Can we hold our heads up high in the way we live our lives? Does our yes mean yes and our no mean no? If we veered a little off course, Jesus is the perfect moral compass to help us get back on track. Jesus is asking us to have the courage to resist and be different than the world. Jesus wants us to live to a higher standard than the world requires. It's not always easy, but it is always worth it. If we want to know how we are doing, we should ask ourselves these questions. When people see us, do they see a true follower of Jesus? And do our moral compasses point to Jesus? Thank you, and may God richly bless you.